Okay, great. Let me know when we are live. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, traders, and welcome to our very first Talk Forex, which is a show that we're going to start doing every Monday morning just to prepare you for the week ahead. I'd like to start off by thanking FX Streets for hosting these events. They're fantastic events, and you should really kind of stop by here, definitely on the Monday morning, and of course to all of the other live videos that they do. What we're going to be doing in this session here is basically looking at the markets and analyzing the markets and looking for opportunities that we could trade for the week ahead. We'll also look at sort of like general levels, even if there's nothing setting up right now, but levels that could come into play later on in the week. I've got the chat box open, so we want it to be an interactive session. So if you do have any questions at all, please feel free to post them throughout the webcast. And of course, if you've got any pairs in particular that you want us to analyze, then please put them up there as well. We'll be going through 27 of the Forex pairs and the FX crosses. Obviously, we'll go through them relatively quickly, and any ones where there's something setting up, we'll spend more time there. But as I said, it's an interactive session, so please, 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 feel free to post your questions, any charts, any opinions. Let's make this a fantastic session. So without further ado, let me share my screen now, and then we can begin the session. So I'm sharing my screen. If I could just have a quick yes or no as to whether you can see the screen. You should see a presentation in front of you. If you could just type a quick yes or no to see if you can see that, that would be appreciated. Yes, excellent. All right, so before we get into it, very, very quickly, a disclaimer, just to say the content of this webinar is not investment advice and should be used purely for educational purposes only. All participants are advised to seek their own counsel prior to investing or entering into any trade. Spread betting and any other type of financial trading carries a high level of risk to your capital of the possibility of losing considerably more than your initial investment. The content of this video may not be suitable for all investors, and an individual should ensure that they're fully aware of the risks involved. And if necessary, you should seek the advice of an independent financial advisor. To get the most out of these sessions, I know that there's always this temptation to have your emails open or to have Facebook, Skype, all of that kind of stuff. But if you could just give me 45 or 42 minutes left of your time for this session, it would be very much appreciated. And yeah, without further ado, let's then get into the session. So I will move this over here, get it out of your way. And let's start with the charts. So we are going to, as I said, we've got about 27 pairs that we're going to look through. I've got all of them on the right-hand side over here. A very brief intro into the type of trading that we're going to be doing here and the charts that you have in front of you. We're going to be doing all of this based on price action. I see a lot of sort of information out there on the markets in terms of the theory of price action and stuff like that. But what I wanted to do, and what FX Street and ourselves were discussing when we're talking about beginning this webinar, is really kind of giving you the nitty gritty, the good, the bad, and the ugly of price action, showing you how it works, not just in theory, but in the live markets, So that means we're not going to win every trade. We're not going to be right on every single one. But what we will also demonstrate is if you're able to stick to the rules, okay, if you're able to follow a plan, then it's a fantastic way to learn to trade and to make money. And obviously, as time progresses, as you get more proficient at this, you'll want to add things like a little bit of an understanding of the fundamentals, which we'll talk about in these sessions here as well, and obviously anything else that you feel comfortable with. Okay, so we're starting off by looking at the Aussie CAD. Now, the Aussie CAD, for me, as you can see, we are at a major level here, so it kind of could go both ways. I'm expecting if the market breaks this trend line here and breaks this high over here at 1.0056, I'm expecting the market to try and push up towards these highs over here at 1.01 0.12. But I don't think it's going to get much higher than that. I could very much see that it gets up to this level here, and then it turns around again and breaks back down at least towards this 100 moving average on the daily chart, which is at 0.9917. So all in all, from a short-term perspective, I'd be looking for a short-term break to the upside. Once it gets there, I'll then be looking for the market to turn around and give us like a bearish engulfing candle or something similar to that, at which point we will then get in and get involved in short the market. The Aussie franc, as you can see here, we've got a number of different trend lines. So on the daily chart, if I zoom in there for a moment, on the daily chart here, you can see that we've got one very, very long-term trend line here, which the market's bounced off of not once, not twice, but 3 times now. Okay, and if it comes back down to this level, then it's certainly going to be an area of interest. It's going to be an area where the market could conceivably bounce again. But obviously, if it does break through, then we would expect some momentum to the downside. But before it gets there, we've also got these other trend lines here, which are slightly shorter term, and you'll be able to see better on the 4-hour charts. We've got these trend lines to contend with. And on top of that, we've got this previous level of resistance, which is now acting as support, and the market has bounced up from that support level there. So at the moment, the price is definitely moving to the upside. We're making, higher highs and higher lows. We are, however, playing with a key level, previous level of resistance, which is now acted as support. And this is going to be a key area in the days ahead. If the market can hold above this level, okay, if the market can push on from here, then we will be expecting a much, much bigger breakout to the upside. And we could conceivably, if I zoom out a little bit, see the Aussie franc pushing up towards these highs over here. So this is kind of like the pre-SMB crisis there. 500-600 pips above the level. However, it's also very, very possible that the market doesn't do that. All right. And what it does instead is it breaks back down beneath that level. And if we get a break of this level here, the support level is 0.7650, then that will be an indication that the market wants to go short on something that we will definitely have to pay attention to. Obviously, if we're trading price action, we don't guess. All right, that's one of the key mistakes that many, many rookie traders make. They kind of say, well, I think the market's going to go this way, so I'm going to just go ahead and jump in ahead of the game so that I can get, those few extra pips worth of profit. And what that usually means is that you'll get stopped out very quickly, and then you'll go into that sort of negative spiral of making mistake after mistake and really just not making any money. Aussie Yen, last week, I could not have picked this more wrong if I tried. It was actually on a 15-minute chart. I'm going to show you it because it's comical just to look at it. On the 15-minute chart on oops, no, let's not do that there. You, my friend, can stay as a 4-hour. We're talking about this chart. Okay, so you say that it's impossible to pick tops and bottoms, right? That's what you say. Can't be done. Check this out. So last week, I think it was on Friday. No, maybe a little bit. Well, Thursday, Friday, somewhere around then. I think Friday. The market was at this level here. Okay. We also had down here, I'll just move that a minute. That was a previous level of support, which became resistance. And the market was kind of giving us a bit of a 1, 2, 3 reversal. And I was looking at this thinking, and it was over here. So the price was at this point here, literally, okay? And I was sat there thinking, well, you know what? If the price breaks above that level there, I want to go long. Why do I want to go long? Because if you look at the daily chart, for example, we can see that the market certainly has momentum to the upside here. And I was thinking if we can break above there, then we'll get a continuation of this momentum and at least some short-term gains up towards this high here. So back to my story. You can't pick tops or bottoms, right? I posted that. That was my analysis. That's what I wanted to do. Thankfully, I'm disciplined or relatively disciplined and waited for the price to get there. But I said, if the price breaks up above this high here, I'm going to be long. I think the market is going higher. I posted that at about 7:45, 8 o'clock in the morning, somewhere around there. But literally, just before the price did this, low, low, not even small candles, but big, 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 big candles all the way to the downside. Where does that leave us, though, in terms of the Aussie yen? So that was me picking the top of the market for the day, which is quite a good feat. I'm sure you'll agree. But where does that leave us? Well, I still think that this goes higher in the long run. I really do. In the short term, we're going to see some momentum. So what am I going to do? I'm going to wait for the market to come down to this trend line here. Okay, and when it gets down to that trend line, I'm going to be looking for a bullish engulfing candle or a 1, 2, 3 reversal, or ABC reversal, whatever you like to call it. It's basically a reversal where you see the market will come down to here. It will make a low. All right, let's see if we can use a drawing tool here. So the market will go like that. It will make a low. All right, it will then bounce from that level there. It will then go to make another low. It will fail to get beneath this previous low here, and then it will roar up across there, and we will be looking to get in when the market breaks this level here. Right? Does that make sense? So what you see is the market will come down here towards this trend line. It will bounce from the trend line. We won't get in on the immediate bounce. We don't want to do that. It will then come back and it will attempt to get lower. It will fail to get lower. And if it fails to get lower, that's the market telling us that actually the power is on the buyer's side. Okay. So what do? We then wait for a technical trend reversal, because what's a trend? In an uptrend, it's a series of higher highs and higher lows. In a downtrend, it's a series of lower highs and lower lows. So if we get a reversal of the trend, we will have a low, we will have a higher low, we have a high here. And if the market breaks through that level, we then have a higher high, which technically would then mean that we're in a trend. Donald Trump is on my mind somehow, an uptrend. Albeit, a very, very early uptrend, but an uptrend all the same. And that will be our signal to get in and to get long. Our stops will be beneath the lows here. And we'll be looking for at least the market to get up back towards these highs. So that's what we're looking at in this pair here. Whether that presents itself or not remains to be seen. But that is that's the Aussie yen. Aussie New Zealand. So there's nothing going on at the moment with the Aussie New Zealand. We've got a couple of plays that we could take advantage of. Ultimately, the long-term one is that we get a bounce from this resistance area here. If we get a bounce from this resistance area at 1.077, we'll be looking to go short. All right. However, before it gets up there, rather, if the market pulls back towards this trend line and gives us some sort of a reversal, we'll certainly be looking to take advantage of that. So we'll be taking a bounce off of this level, or buy to the upside there, and see where that goes. On the Aussie dollar, we think is going to attack these highs. Quite a similar sort of story to the Aussie CAD, in that we think that ultimately we will probably get some sort of bounce from here, and then it will go a little bit lower. But until then, we think that the market will break through this trend line here. And when it breaks through, we'll then get a nice move up, albeit a short-term move, but a nice move up towards those highs there. So these are the kind of trades that are going to last a few hours to maybe a day or two. It's not something we're going to sit in for weeks. But that's on the Aussie dollar. On the CAD franc, that's already broken. So if you're not in, too late. But again, we got in on a break of this trend line here. We're expecting the market to move up to these highs. Obviously, we need to wait and see what happens. But at the moment, it looks like it's moving in that direction. CAD yen. So the CAD yen, similar to the CAD franc in that we're expecting the market to move up towards this area here. However, if it doesn't do that and it just breaks through this low around the 85.91 area, then we could conceivably see a move down towards the support level at 84.78. At the moment, it's kind of in no man's land. We're waiting to see which way the market's going to go. But basically, if the market breaks up above this candle here at 86.55, we'll be going long. If it breaks beneath this candle here, we will most certainly be going short. Franc yen, I can see nothing but a sell in this pair here. I know that it's at a support level and it could conceivably bounce from this level here. But if we look at this on the, well, let's look at it on the 4-hour chart, in fact. You can see that we've got some sort of like topping price action reversal type pattern. Yes, the market has moved up and it's got quite some momentum there. So, you know, we could see a bounce. Well, there's a potential for a bounce from this level, but I just kind of think that we're going to see more downside in this pair before we see the upside. But because we're price action traders, then, you know, obviously we wait for the levels to be broken. We don't just jump in there. Okay. So let's see what happens. Euro Aussie. Can I read the numbers where the trend lines are? The trend lines, do you mean where the support and resistance lines are? Because the trend lines are kind of hard to read out because, for example, this trend line is at 14705, 14704, 14703, 14702. If you see what I mean, it's at all of the numbers from the top to the bottom. So I'm assuming you possibly mean read out the numbers for the support and resistance levels, which I will do if they're important, obviously. Is that what you were asking for? FX Oki? Okay, Euro Aussie. What are we expecting here? Well, the Euro Aussie has been quite labored. We were expecting a breakdown in the Euro Aussie for quite some time now, but it hasn't been as forthcoming as we would have liked. We're now at a key support level over here, so a big time support level, and I'm inclined to say that we're going to. It's way more likely, if you look at the overall context of the chart, that we're going to get a bit of a bounce from this level here, potentially back up, not to this short-term trend line, but to this long-term trend line that is printed on the daily chart. We'll get a bounce up towards that level there before we get the break to the downside. Obviously, if we get a nice pattern here, and if the market starts to move sideways at this level, okay, and kind of bounces up and down like that and moves sideways and then breaks down, we'll be happy to take that short as well. At the moment, there's not been enough of a reaction to the support level to convince me to get into it. What I like to see in terms of trading price action is I like to see the markets interact with the levels that I've picked out, just to show me that I'm looking at the right levels. I don't want them to completely disregard those levels because then I've got nothing to trade off of. I much prefer trading once a price has got to the level, given it some sort of reaction, and then moved from there. Okay. So I'm expecting something similar to what's happened in the Euro CAD here. The Euro CAD broke through the level or interacted with the level before then bouncing back up into the range, and is now traded up towards that that resistance level. At the moment, what are we expecting to see from here? Generally, we're quite bearish on the euro at the moment. There's a lot of Canadian news out this week. I think we've got the retail sales. What else do we have? We've got the retail sales out this week. We've got the crude oil inventories, and I think we've got the CPI as well. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out from there. before or as we take a trade. But ultimately, I think this one goes lower. Just based on the fact that we're quite bearish on the euro. There's no real reason for it to strengthen right now. Obviously, we need to keep an eye on the oil charts. If that tanks, and that might hurt this theory a little bit. But ultimately, if everything remains the same, we think euro gets more negative, and we see more negative sentiment towards the euro, in which case we'll be expecting this level here at 1.3786 to break. Can we get in quicker than that? Absolutely. If the market pulls back to this area here, pulls back to the trend line, interacts with the trend line, and then goes shorter, we absolutely could take a trade. You probably wouldn't get it on the 1 hour chart. You probably would have to jump down to something like the 15-minute chart and trade it from here. So if the market gets up to this level here on the 15-minute chart, that's where you should be able to see some sort of a reaction. Itchy nose. Itchy nose. Euro pound. We think this goes lower as well. This kind of messing about. But what you can see here on the daily charts is we have a sort of head and shoulders forming. So we've got the shoulders here, we've got the head, we've got the shoulders. This is the neckline. The market is threatening to go lower, which we like to see. So if I zoom out of that, and if we zoom into the shorter term time frame, in fact, see that on the 1 hour charts. If the market can break through this trend line here, then we don't even necessarily need to wait for this big support level. We could actually trade it down to that level and then maybe add to the position once we get down there. Okay, so that's what we're waiting for in this pair here. So if we can break down from that trend line, then we will be looking to trade it down to the support level, which is 0.8327 for those of you that want to know what the number is. Okay, are we getting through this? Do we have enough time? Almost. About 20 minutes left or so. Let's continue to work our way through. Are there any questions, by the way? Just whilst I'm going through this, are there any questions on the levels at all? On the strategy, are there any pairs that you want to look at in particular? I think we've got time to go through them all, but just in case, are there any that I should... Barely, is that, what was that? What does that mean? Barely any questions or barely? I'm guessing that means no questions. Viprala. Okay. So Euro Yen. We think this is certainly going lower. There's a number of fundamental reasons for this. I think Nikki posted it in our blog last week. If not, I will get him to post it up there. But ultimately, from a technical, from a price action perspective, we can see that we've got a reversal on our hands here. We had the market rally up, move sideways, give us a bit of a consolidation pattern, then break down from that area there, pull back to the trend line. If we get another break beneath here at 119.33, then we will be taking this to the short side, stop above the highs there. Okay. Euro New Zealand, we've got downwards price action, bearish price action, right? The trend is down here. We are expecting the market to at least come towards 1.3922. If we, well, that's where we're expecting it to get to. If we can get a break of this trend line here, which you can't really see it on the daily charts, but you can certainly see it on the 1 hour, the 4 hour charts. If we can get a break of this trend line, that will be our signal to enter to go short. We will then be targeting, obviously you can target the absolute lows that we were talking about all the way down here. I'll zoom out a bit. Down towards this sort of area here at 1.3882. That's 1,000 or so pips away. So if you don't want to go for that much, you can either, go for some sort of a fixed stop loss, or you could at least target these lows here and see how the market reacts when it gets to those lows. That should still give you a pretty decent risk reward trade there. So yeah, it depends how long you want to hold it for. If you're waiting for those ultimate lows down there, you will probably be waiting down at sort of like 3.8. Oops. You're going to have to accept that this is going to be a trade that you're going to hold for a number of days, maybe even a week or two. But it's completely possible and conceivable that you would get the trade if you were to short from that level there. If you were to go for the longer term level, I would caution you against kind of putting your stop loss directly above these highs over here. I would probably put it beyond the 100 moving average at the 1.5116 area. That's where I'd look to put my stop loss if we were looking for the longer term trade. Okay. Okie dokie. Euro dollar. The opportunity has gone. You've missed it. If you want to get short the euro dollar, we're already short. We're expecting it to at least come towards these lows here and potentially actually move towards parity. It's been a labored one, this one in the euro dollar. I don't think Donald Trump has helped us at all. So thank you very much for kind of coming in there and stirring up the markets. But having said that, what Janet Yellen came out with last week and mentioned about interest rate hikes and things like that gave sort of a more hawkish tone to her speech. Really gives us confidence that the market is going to move lower. So we're quite happy to hold the euro dollar. May be wrong, you're not going to be right on every single trade, but we certainly think that we've got a lot of confidence with this trade here. So we're taking quite some size here to take this at least towards these lows, and quite frankly, more towards parity. So we'll see how that goes. The pound Aussie, we are already short this. We've been short this for a while. We've actually been short this since back here and had to deal with quite a bit of pain in this pair here. This is another one. It's just something that should be so simple is just made complicated by the markets. But we're short this. We're holding for the lows down here. And it looks like we are in a sort of like a descending triangle here if we can get a break below this level. So let me move the trend. So if we get a break below sort of, let's say what, the 1.6000 level, then we will actually add to our shorts. If you're not already in the pound Aussie, another pair that may be a better one to get into because it hasn't quite gone yet is this one in the pound CAD. If you look at this on the 4-hour chart, the market has been moving down, as you can see there. It then pulled back somewhat, and then respected that trend line. So every time the market moves up, it doesn't quite get above the trend line. It's uncanny the way that this actually works. Every time it gets there, it goes short again, right? So, and all the while, it's kind of pushing on this, on the floor here at the 1.6200. So if we can get beneath that floor, if the market can break below there, then that's going to signal to us a short opportunity. We'll place our stops above the level over here. So we'll have quite a wide stop there, sort of 400-500 pips. You don't need to do that. If you're going to get involved in these trades, you could certainly put it above the 100 moving average or find a closer one. But one of the things that we do with our trading is we put in a catastrophic stop loss. It doesn't mean that that stop has to be hit every single time. All it means is that if something you know, like a disaster was to strike the market and the market kind of gapped up and moved really ferociously in the direction that's opposite to our trade, we're not going to wipe out our account. Most of the time, we close our positions manually. So we don't take profit automatically. We don't take profit. We don't take our stop losses automatically. We do it manually based on the price action, based on where the market is in comparison to the key levels. Okay, so if we were to get involved in this trade here, it broke lower, then it pulled back somewhat and went sideways, we would come out around that area there. We wouldn't wait for the stop to be broken. But by putting the stop loss out above, far away from the market, you're ensuring that you're not going to be whipped out of the trade on some silly news announcement, or that even if you've got your entry wrong, if you've got the direction right, you're still going to have an opportunity to make money. You know, this is something I wrote about it to our members on Friday, and it's kind of like a road that Nikki and I really feel like we need to go down, because, you know, it's the thing with teaching people to trade, right, is that you can teach someone a system. And systems are really, really easy to teach. You know, if you can kind of recognize patterns and things like that, you'll pick it up relatively quickly. The problem is that there's a lot of discretion involved. And when you're reading charts and when you're reading price action and patterns, you know, you may see it a little bit differently to the way that we would see it or a professional would see it. And what I'm trying to say here is I think it's a little bit unfair to expect new traders, okay, to be, you know, absolutely on point with their entries, with their reading of the charts and all of that. So what we want to do and what we're trying to do is kind of develop a way of helping traders, teaching traders systems that doesn't require that they're perfect on every single entry. That almost assumes that they're going to get it wrong on some of their entries. Okay, and by doing that, we feel that we're going to have more and more and more successful traders in the markets. Of course, that means that those traders are going to have to be disciplined, because there'll be times where you need to stop yourself out. But assuming you can do that, then we think that that is the way to go in terms of trading education. Okay, so that was the pound CAD. We think that's going lower. Pound franc is threatening to go lower, but at the moment there's nothing on. If we get a break of this level here at 1.2378, we might be convinced to take a short. But right now, nothing really on right there. There are better trades to take. And this is the thing. You're going to find opportunities in every single market. All right? You're going to find opportunities every single day. But you just need to think to yourself, is this a good trade, or are there better ones out there? All right? If you have to think about it too much, then believe me, there are better ones out there. So we will skip that one. Pound yen. This is an interesting one. We think this one in the long run will go high, but that's a long run. In the short term is going to go lower. So we will be looking to take a break of this low here at 1.3962, which will also coincide with a break of this trend line, which you can see here on the 4-hour chart. Dearie me. Pound New Zealand, they're all kind of posting a very, very similar pattern here. You can see this on the Pound New Zealand here on the daily. So we kind of have this descending triangle forming here. We could see it on all of the charts. And one of the things that you might want to do, okay, if you're a little bit more conservative, one of the things that you can do as a trader is you can wait for the for some of the other pairs, the other correlated pairs to go before you get involved in a trade. So you don't need to be the first there. If this is going to be a long-term move, right? If the pound is going to go lower, it's not going to just go lower against one. It's going to go lower against the majority of the other currencies out there, right? So what you could do is you could wait, for example, to see that the Pound New Zealand go short, or whichever one it is that goes short, see what sort of momentum's there, and then find an opportunity to take a trade in one of the other pairs. So the Pound CAD for example, or something like that. That's something that you can do as a trader. You don't have to just trade based on this one chart that we're looking at right here. We can engage the brain a little bit and find higher probability setups by waiting for a little bit of extra confirmation. Of course, the downside to that, as always, is that you then may miss the major move because they all go short at the same time. And that's something you will have to learn to live with. Pound dollar, again, we've got this triangle forming. We're expecting the lows to be broken here. And if it does, then we will be getting short. New Zealand CAD. This one we think is going low. We've got some longer term levels in play here, as you can see. The markets tend to gravitate towards their support and resistance levels, towards their trend lines. So we're expecting that the market will come down at some point and play with this trend line over here at around the 0.9125 level. Before it does that, it has to negotiate this trend line here, but we think it probably won't have any issues doing that. If we look at the price action, we do have lower highs, lower lows going on here. So a break of this trend line here, we think it most certainly will go short. New Zealand franc, it's a little bit messy. There are other trades that you could take here, but the main one that we'll be looking at is taking a reversal from the resistance area up here at 0.7315. If the market pulls up to this level here, we will be taking it short. Okay, so we'll be looking for a bearish engulfing pattern or a 1, 2, 3 reversal like I described to you earlier. New Zealand yen, Kiwi yen. What do we want to do with this? Well, we've got a double top. So we've got a high here, a high here. The market has been playing with this sort of ledge here. We think that if the market can break beneath that level, we're going to get a similar price action as to what we had with the Aussie Yen last week. And that is the trapdoor is just absolutely going to open. And we're going to see some very, very quick momentum, short, sharp move to the downside. Even though we think that it goes higher in the long run, as traders, we're here to make money, right? We're not necessarily investors that want to be in the markets for years and years and years and holding things. We want to make money today, tomorrow, next week. So from that perspective, we're looking for a short if the market breaks beneath this level here, which is 80.50, 80.50. The New Zealand dollar, there's not a great deal here. It looks like it's going to go towards the bottom of this channel here, this trend line, which has been in place for 1, 2, 3, 4 touch points there. We think the market will respect it. We've got the lower highs all the way along here. And we think the market will get down here towards the 0.69 level. So I will be entering a trade at 0.7130. Stop will go above the highs there at 0.7384, and we will then just see where the market takes us. Again, I'm not going to wait for the market to stop me out from that level there. That's a catastrophic stop loss. If I get in and then the market kind of goes sideways and does sod all, then I'll cut my losses short. We don't have to wait for the market to absolutely ruin us. We just take the loss, move on, wait for the next trade. Dollar CAD here, there's a number of sort of levels that it's playing with. I'm kind of the opinion that it's going to move higher. So I'm waiting for this trend line here to be broken. If this trend line is going to be broken, we just need to be a little bit mindful of this trend line, which was holding the lows in place, becoming resistance. So that's why I've kept this in over here. Okay, but ultimately we think we get a break above this trend line here, and then it will probably find some resistance there. That's where we will potentially take a little bit of profit. But if it can break through that level, then you've got to expect it to come up towards the highs there at 1.3571. The dollar franc, we think it comes lower. You can see here it's in a big range. But we think that ultimately, if the market, reacted to this level here, if it can get beneath this low at 0.9453, then the market's going to attack the bottom of the channel here. So we'll just have to wait to see. Sorry, did I say 94? I meant that was a not 0.94. 0.9860, we will then get a move towards 0.9450, somewhere around there. Now, look, just a few minutes left. Time this absolutely perfectly. So the final one is, if we can get, with the dollar yen, we think this goes higher in the long run. We really, 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 really do think this goes higher. And ultimately, we're waiting for this resistance level at let's call it 11500, for that to be broken. If that's broken, we will then be getting long on this pair here. Okay, so with that in mind, let's open up the door to any other questions. Any questions you may have, please feel free to post them in the chat box. And just before you go, as we do with all of these things, we've got a very nice sort of gift for you. Okay, and that is access. I don't know if you can see this, but access to something called the Forex Masterclass. It's basically a, what is it? It's a video course. It was an online boot camp. So we did this about a year ago. We spent a weekend with our members and kind of taught them about fundamentals, technicals, all of that kind of stuff. It was a fantastic weekend. But basically, we did a recording of that, and we're now actually giving it away for free. We used to sell it for about £500, but absolutely free. As I said, my brother and I, we want to revolutionize education in the FX markets and completely turn things on their heads. And one of those things is to give you ridiculous content, ridiculous value, absolutely free. So we're going to give you the Forex Masterclass, which is over 5 hours of tutorials. You'll learn about fundamentals, technicals. You'll receive email support from Nikki and I. And most importantly, it's free, and we all like free. You'll also get 2 additions. So someone's asking us about a website, results, past trades, etc. We're going to give you an opportunity to see how that works live in the markets. We're going to give you 2 free additions to our money file, which is our, what is it? Our money file is a report that we put out every week talking to you about the exact trades that we're looking to take, fundamental reasoning, all of that kind of good stuff. So we're going to give you 2 free editions of that so that you can look at, you don't just need to look at our past trades. You can look at our real trades. We're not afraid to show you what we do day in, day out. From a website perspective, if you go to www.traderscorner.co.uk, or www.themoneyfile.com. That's our website there. But to sign up for the Forex Masterclass, these are the URLs that you need. So we've got http://bit.ly/2RUFWZG. Case sensitive. It is very, very important. So make sure you put the case in there. But that will give you access to the Forex Masterclass, which, as I said, is absolutely free. And hopefully you get some fantastic content out of it and some good trading ideas. All right. We've got about 1 minute left. Are there any questions? Let's go back. Take the screen away. Okay. So I'm back. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. I really, really do appreciate you giving up your time this morning. As I said, it's going to be something that we try and do. Well, we will do every single week with FX Street, every Monday morning. Do not miss your Talk Forex with myself, Alex Ong. Thank you so much to FX Street for putting this on. You guys are fantastic hosts, and you do fantastic things in the FX markets, as always. So really, really appreciate all of your time. We are just coming up to the 8:45, a little 8:45 in the morning mark, which is our time up. Thank you so much, everybody. We hope you have a fantastic week in the markets. If you've got any questions, head on over to our website, post us a question, we'll be happy to answer it for you. Otherwise, have a great week in the markets, and we will speak to you all soon. Take care now, and happy trading.